Hey everybody, it's John, Lake Erie Chestnuts. Thanks for joining us for another update here at the orchard. Today we're planting trees. We're going to plant some English walnuts and we're going to plant some hazelnuts, Yamhill and Jefferson variety seedlings grown from seed. I started in the basement. If you've been following the channel, you've been seeing that. And I'm going to use fencing for this because hazelnuts and walnuts don't like tubes. I've done tubes before for them. They do not like it. So I forgot my wire cutters, but I've got an old set of hedge trimmers and they're doing a good job with this kind of 2x4 woven, or I don't know if it's woven. It looks more like bonded wire fencing. And I'm just doing about a 10-inch diameter because all I need to preserve is the upward growth. Hazelnuts will get tall enough. Obviously, walnuts will get tall enough that you don't have to worry about animals browsing on them. I'm just trying to protect that leader. So I trim those, and what I do is, instead of having to use a bunch of wiring or things that can go bad later, like a zip tie, I cut the extra here. This is hard to see because it's green, but I use that to just kind of tie to itself. Hopefully you can see that. And then I'll form up the circle a little better. You see what I'm doing here? Now the key is not to leave that tag, this thing, hanging out where you can catch it, because if you're weed eating later or mowing later, you are not going to like it if you run into those and scratch up your arm. So I just do one tie and then leave the sharp edge pointed inward. And it takes about 2 or 3 minutes to make each one. I've tried the English walnut and I've tried the hazelnut in tubes, and they just sat there and hated it. They don't like that something pushing against them. They want to be bushy. They don't like that central leader being the only thing that's allowed to grow. They'll handle browse from deer, but they don't like just touching a tube continuously. So I've tried that. It did not work. So, using this type of fencing for it, this is some leftover fencing I had. And then I just use either some sort of stake, whether it's a pine stake, a piece of electrical conduit, or some old rebar or something I may have. Got a little bit of a dried up leaf because I went on vacation while they were in the pots and they got a little dry one day, but you see the new growth is very healthy. We planted a couple more on down the way here, and then in the background right here, you see my hazelnuts that I've shown the seeds that are growing this year, first time producing nuts. So now I've driven, this one has a rebar stake. Some have the plastic conduit stake, and I'm going to put one of these little fencings around each tree, zip tie it, and move on. This is a Yamhill, and you can see it's very healthy. Yamhill seedling. Well, there's the final product. I left the little marker at the top. It's got the identification of the tree. It may slide down a little bit, but it can't slide down the whole way because I've got a zip tie that will impede its progress. So, a few hazelnuts planted. Let's see if we can go plant some walnuts. So if you can see here, this tree was in a tube, and it tried to survive, but it just couldn't. It's dead. The walnuts just hate being in tubes. So, we're going to get rid of the tube. We're going to dig that area up real good and put some new walnuts in there, but this time with a wire fencing type protection. and see how they like that. Now, just as I say that they hate being in tubes, this tube has one alive in it. So I'm going to take it out of the tube, put it into a fence type protection. See how it likes that. Here's a beautiful English walnut grown in a root maker. What you can't smell is that beautiful dead groundhog head smell. Ugh, gross, Gizzy. You're gonna need a toothbrush. And we'll plant this, get it fenced up. There's the old English walnut. Bottom leaves a little diseased because I left them in the pot too long. Root maker. Pretty good root development, but now it's time to start building that tap. Let's go put this one in the ground. Lots of butterflies. See the monarchs? There's at least 4 right here in this stretch. All sorts of other butterflies here too. I think they're called fritillaries. Beautiful. You can see I have help today. Got help mowing the orchard. He loves being on camera. Well, I'm gonna get back to planting my trees. We'll go from there. Well, it was a bad transition to the ending. I never got a picture of the finished product of planting the walnuts, but I got 2 additional walnuts planted, and we had the one English walnut that's about almost 5 foot tall in that tube. Now it's in a cage. It'll be much happier. Planted 4 hazelnuts, and that was about all I did. The boy did a good job mowing the orchard, and we're getting that to come along. But thanks for following along. I have some pictures of my Montana bull elk and my 2020 12-point Pennsylvania buck. So thanks for watching us here at Lake Erie Chestnuts. If you haven't liked and subscribed, made a comment, I'd appreciate it if you did. Comment with where you're from. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Remember, if you're not growing, you're dying.